They broke into the home of a retired CIA operative, thinking they could steal a secret and vanish without a trace. Behind them stood a disgraced ex-agent, Victor Grayson, a man who betrayed his own for profit, assuming no one would ever push back. But David Harper wasn't just ready to turn their mission into a meticulously crafted trap. What unfolded was a masterclass in cold, calculated justice, and by the end, the right side prevailed. David Harper killed the engine of his Ford Explorer, letting the silence of the Virginia suburbs envelop him. The cul-de-sac was a postcard of American normalcy, tidy lawns, porch lights glowing like beacons, and the faint hum of sprinklers. A dog barked once, then fell quiet. It was past midnight, the kind of hour where nothing stirs in a place like this. Except something was wrong. David's eyes caught a thin sliver of light leaking from the side door of his colonial-style home. That door was always locked, reinforced, alarmed, untouchable. He'd made sure of it. He stepped out, leaving the car door ajar to avoid the dome light's telltale glow. His movements were fluid, instinctive, honed by a career he'd left behind but never forgot. Crossing the driveway, his boots barely whispered against the gravel. He paused under the porch awning, senses sharp. The air was too still. The doorknob turned without resistance. Someone had bypassed his security with finesse, not force. David slipped inside, the familiar scent of cedarwood and stale coffee greeting him. But there was something else, a faint presence, like the air itself held its breath. A soft glow spilled from the hallway toward his study. A rhythmic click, click, click echoed, unmistakable. Someone was working the dial on his safe. David's body reacted before his mind, muscle memory kicking in. He shed his shoes, toes brushing the hardwood as he moved silently forward. The study door was half open, revealing two figures under the desk lamp's warm light. One knelt at the safe, spinning the dial with practiced ease, his black tactical slacks and jacket marked with a Secure Home Solutions patch. The other rifled through desk drawers, precise, ignoring irrelevant papers. They moved like pros, calm, coordinated, deliberate. David didn't act immediately. He watched, cataloging details, the safecracker's familiarity with the lock, the searcher's selective focus. No panic, no haste. But they weren't legit. David never hired private security, and no agency would enter without clearance, especially not for a safe hidden behind a bookshelf panel. These men weren't random thieves. They were here for something specific, and they'd made a fatal error. They'd chosen his house. His hand brushed the umbrella stand by the door, where a weighted baton lay disguised. As he gripped it, the safecracker turned, sensing movement. Their eyes locked. The man's hand drifted toward his belt weapon or tool. David couldn't tell. 10 seconds, David said, voice like ice. Who sent you? The searcher raised his hands, feigning calm. County property check. Routine. We've got clearance. David stepped into the light, his presence steady, unyielding. This isn't county. This isn't routine. And if you knew who I was, you wouldn't touch that safe. The taller man, with a scar slicing his eyebrow, gave a thin smile. You came home early. David's gaze didn't waver. You made a mistake. The air shifted, heavy with unspoken threats. David's hand slipped into his pocket, pulling out a worn leather badge case. He didn't open it yet. Who are you? He asked, voice low, sharp. The scarred man straightened, ex-military posture evident. County enforcement. Emergency, Clause 48. David's lips twitched. Clause 48 was fiction, and he knew it. He'd written real protocols, exploited their gaps. These men were fakes, their patches and lanyards lacking official markers. The younger man, jittery, froze mid-search, hand buried in a drawer. David raised his palms, not in surrender but to buy seconds, shifting to block the hallway. You bypassed my surveillance, cut my thermal sensors, and targeted a safe not on any blueprint. 3 mistakes. He pulled the badge case, flipping it open. The CIA seal gleamed under the lamp. The younger man's breath hitched. The scarred man's jaw tightened. Not fear recognition. I'm not law enforcement, David said. I'm not private. And I'm not civilian. Give me a name. Silence stretched, broken only by the air conditioner's hum. The scarred man stepped forward, boots thudding softly. Got something in that safe you shouldn't? David's smile was cold. Funny. I was about to ask you that. The younger man whispered something, eyes darting to the hall. David didn't need to hear it. He knew their type reigned but undisciplined, not agency, not sanctioned. Hard guns sent by someone who knew too much. The scarred man reached for the safe's dial again. David ended the game. He tossed the badge case onto the desk, the thud cutting through the tension. The younger man froze, pupils wide. The scarred man blinked, his smirk gone. David stepped closer. I've buried people for less. What made you think this was a good idea? The room wasn't a study, Anna Marie, it was a battlefield, and David held the high ground. The younger man cracked. We were told you were gone, he blurted. Just securing a property. David's eyes narrowed. Lie again. The scarred man tried to salvage it. No need to escalate. David didn't wait. He opened a desk drawer, pressed a hidden panel, and a red diode blinked on. Keep talking, he said. Names, money, why my safe? The younger man stared at the floor. Apex Resolve. Delaware shell. Paid this morning. The scarred man added, low six figures. We got a package retrieve a drive from a biometric safe. David's mind raced. This was no burglary. It was an extraction. Someone knew what he kept or thought they did. You broke into a classified assets home to steal federal property, he said. Sound right? The red light blinked, recording their silence. David placed a hand on the safe. You thought I was just a retired spook. You were wrong. He let them go, not out of mercy but strategy. Killing them would bury the trail. He needed them to report back, to expose their handler. In the quiet aftermath, David knelt by a filing cabinet, retrieving a burner phone from a hidden panel. He powered it on, tapped a number. A modulated voice answered. You were compromised. David replied, They found me. A pause. Dust burn. The voice said, Copy. Extraction or retaliation? David looked out at the quiet street. Both. Within 48 hours, Secure Home Solutions vanished. Their website crashed, corporate records dissolved, their Arlington office emptied overnight. David didn't need their front, needed their financier. Using old protocols, he traced the money through darknet channels to Victor Grayson, a disgraced ex-CIA contractor in Malta. Grayson sold intel on people, not secrets, including David's address and safe's location. David compiled a dossier, video of the intruders, Apex Resolve's logs, Grayson's voice print. He leaked it to a shadow network of ex-operatives. Within hours, Grayson was toxic, his credibility burned. David didn't stop there. He stripped his home, blacked the windows, and went dark. A final message sent to the network, Come near me again. I won't knock. Months later, David stood in his rebuilt study. A new safe, untraceable, was embedded in concrete. The old one had been a decoy, revealing who still hunted him. He sat at his desk, a blank notebook open. No medals, no headlines, just resolve. The neighborhood outside was unchanged, but David was awake, watching, ready. What do you think of David's response? Was his calculated justice too harsh, or did the intruders get what they deserved? Share your thoughts in the comments below, especially on whether violence or precision is the better answer to betrayal and injustice. Let's hear your stance.